Hello, Finance 30 students, and welcome to the income tax demo on how to use, simple software to file a tax return. For Finance 30, we are doing an assignment about an entrepreneur who also has a T4, and we're going to file a tax return. The information I have in your assignment in the demo is a little bit different from the assignment, but still the same steps that you'll enter when you actually finish the assignment. We're going to use the Wealthsimple software, and I've got it loaded up here. You'll have to create an account and verify your account, and then we'll click tax at the top. We are going to use the 2023 software because 2024 isn't loaded yet, but it would be virtually the same steps that you would use. So we're going to make a new profile. What we'd like you to do is put his name. So this guy's name is Trevor, and then put your last name for the purpose of this assignment, because when you upload it with the PDFs, we would just want something to link it to your work, and then we know it's your work. So change the name in the profile to your last name. So my name's Lowe, last name's Lowe. So this is for Trevor Lowe. You'll just put Trevor and then whatever your last name is. I guess, this isn't being shared anywhere, but just with it internally when you submit your assignment to make sure it's your work. So we'll load the account, it'll load the software. If you're doing it at the beginning of the tax year, sometimes they will change the software to update it for the newest tax laws, but for now we're ready to go. Okay, over on this side, I've got all the demographic information. I'm just going to start filing and returning. So this guy's name is Trevor. We don't have a middle name for him. We'll call it last name Lowe. Would you like a live expert? No, we'll say for now. Click next. We're going to do the basic no pay one. You can get some extra protection or extra advice if you want it, but for now we're just going to use the basic one. Select that one. And we've got the date of birth here, so 2006, November 13th, and Saskatchewan, and he is single. Marital status and province do affect the taxes we pay. This would be connecting to a CRA account. We don't have that information here, but if this were your own self filing your taxes, I would suggest you register for a CRA account. They don't mail anything anymore. So all of your tax forms, any applications you do for EI, or any benefits are all on this account. So it's highly secure, of course, with your CRA, and I would suggest students get themselves an account and sign up for one. We're going to skip that for now. Now let's set up the rest of return. They want to know what other tax information do we have, and it's really a simple question and answer. If you look over here in the assignment, I've got some information about the assignment, some special notes you should know. He runs a business, so a little business, which some of you might do after high school. You might do a side gig or a side hustle, be a little entrepreneur. Then we'll show you how you would file those tax returns. In this case, a landscaping company. And then the person in the case, Trevor, also worked for 4 months of the year before he started his own business. So we've got a T4. So over on the tax return page here, I'm going to select T4. No other forms exist, and you don't have to wonder about them. They will exist when you get your information mailed to you. Some of you might get a T5 or something else, but we'll just add this T4 for now. Capital gains would be if you traded stocks and made money, rental income if you had property, and business income. And we'll say yes, because this person owned a landscaping business. So it'll add the forms we need. So I had a job and Trevor had his own business. If you're a student, that would be post-secondary student or anything else. You'd also click those, and it fills the proper forms that you need. In this case, I have some information at the start about Trevor, but he has no children, doesn't own a home, did not have any medical expenses, which if you did, make sure you keep track of those because they are claimable, and any donations you make are claimable. But we don't have any of that information for Trevor's tax returns. Any of the other credits that you might get relate to trades or musician expenses, lower income, union dues, RSP contributions, subscriptions. None of these apply for Trevor right now. If you're doing your own taxes, you'd answer those and they're ready to go. So it'll set up the forms we need all in a nice way. So I'm just going to copy his email address here. The social insurance number you can use is an academic social insurance number that we use to teach. Okay, it's listed in the assignment, and his date of birth. Preferred language is English. Is this a return for deceased person? No, that is something you would do if someone were deceased. This net file access code is information to allow you to submit electronically after you file for the first time. So this would be if you're filing for the second time. You'll get a net access code when you get your tax returns back. And this actually really speeds up your filing, so you get your tax return quite quickly. So we don't have that. We'll assume this is the first time Trevor has filed. What I've got is the address I've put down here on his T4s. So it is street number 123, Main Street, in, we'll call it just any city, Saskatchewan, S9H4H6. And we have a phone number up at this top here. enter that phone number, 89. I don't know if that's someone's phone number or not, but we'll assume it's not. Okay, and then non-Canadian mailing address, no, all of this matters. Were you a Canadian resident? We'll assume yes. Which province do you live? Did you move? Is your home address? All of these are important because provinces collect their own taxes. This person is single, the marital status did not change, and there are no children. So if someone got divorced or separated, that would also have to be declared here. The other things, I think I've put it here. He's declaring his filing tax for the first time. He is a Canadian citizen. He is not. Oh, this question is important. It says, as a Canadian citizen, do you authorize Revenue Canada to give your information to Elections Canada? I'm going to say yes. Of course, this is optional, but we live in a democratic society where you have the right to vote. And so I would suggest that you're put on that elections list from your return and that you do vote in the next election. It's important everyone has a voice because we are free to have that voice. This person is not registered under the Indian Act, but if you were, you declare that. And then some of the other information they want to know depends on the tax. We did not hold foreign property. We didn't dispose of our principal residence. We didn't flip property, so sometimes people buy and sell. We didn't open the first time home savings account, which was just introduced. And we were not in prison. That also counts as a piece of information. The Canadian carbon rebate asks us right now if you live outside of Regina and Saskatoon. I'm going to say yes. That would be considered rural, and there's a little bit more of a rebate because there's more driving in rural Saskatchewan. Are you registered for MyCRA? We're going to say no. Again, that's the account with CRA I would suggest you sign up for. And do you want to sign up for mail? I'll just put no, not yet. And we're just going to do it. So you can see, we can add more forms. If there's a form I missed, we'd type it in here. But there's forms that we've already filled in. So we're going to jump right in and do those. So the first form is the job he did have. He worked for a company called Graco Designs. And the T4 is in your assignment. So Graco Designs. Box 10 is the province he lives in, and it just matches the boxes over here. So box 10, none of these boxes are checked, CPP, EI. If they were checked, they'd be over here, but he did pay CPP and EI because he's over the age of 18. 12,000 is what his earnings were. Box 16 is 644.60. You can see that that is his CPP contributions. Just follow along. 17 has nothing. 18 Box 18 has an amount. That is EI deductions, $199.20. Box 20 is blank. Box 22 is income tax deduction. So they did take some income tax off his check. And box 24 over here, EI insurable earnings, is all his earnings. So if he needed to apply for EI. And box 26 was CPP. That also contributes to his CPP. So in Canada, you pay CPP over the age of 18. And EI, everyone pays regardless of the age. That's this deduction here in case you need to get off, if you get laid off work or have an injury. So that's all to set up his T4. I believe I've entered all the boxes. Just going to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we've got them all filled in. Okay. Now the next thing is his business income. So this is all laid out here for you. It's very important if you run a business, you keep good track of your expenses, your income, receipts, invoices, everything. Keep it in a shoebox, keep it in folders, keep it neatly organized. So this business will start entering is named Green Thumb Enterprises. It's not incorporated or anything, it's just a sole ownership, but it's nice, fun to name the business instead of just his own name. In this case, he does not have a GST number, but if you'll notice in the special notes I've put here, GST is part of filing for a business. You would need a GST number. This is covered a little more in the entrepreneurship classes, but if you collect it, you have to have a number. You can't just collect the GST and keep it. It's a tax offense, a fraud, actually get lots of trouble. So if you had a business, you would get a GST number and register that. We don't have that right now, but you would have that. What kind of business income did you earn? So it wasn't professional like a lawyer, and commission would be like got paid so much based on sales. This one is just pure business. Does it have his own address? No, it's basically out of his own home. It's not a partnership. If it were, you'd say who the other partner was and split things. In this case, the fiscal year is what year did this operate? So we'll match the calendar year from January to December. And the main product or service is landscaping. You need the industry code, and so I've put that here right at the bottom. It says industry code is for landscaping, so we will put that in. 561730, landscaping services. And again, this is just for tracking to see what businesses are in place in Canada. It's for statistics and to monitor economy. It's fine. Okay, so now let's get into income. I've put his income statement here. So income, gross sales, he sold $38,000 worth of work. There was no returns or discounts that he gave anyone. There's no wage subsidy. He didn't have any other business income. Cost of goods sold is just what did it cost to deliver this business. So one of the comments is direct wages. So he did have an employee and paid the employee $10,000. So you had a helper in the scenario, no subcontracts, didn't carry any inventory stuff to sell. He just does services, so landscaping, snow removal. And then he can deduct all of his expenses. So I've listed them here. If you follow along with the income statement, advertising, you spent 500. Meals and entertainment, I don't have a direct amount here, but you can keep track of what you spend to eat conducting your business. So like say lunch during the day while you're working, if you go out for lunch or buy lunch for your employees, you can deduct, if you'll notice, 50% of what you spend. So it's a decent amount to keep track of. We don't have an amount listed over here. He didn't keep track of that, but he probably should to reduce his income and helps you pay less taxes. No bad debts, which mean customers that didn't pay you. Nope, none of that. Hopefully there won't be. Insurance is $2,000 a year for the business. Interest is interest. He has an equipment lease, so he leased, a mower or whatever he leased. So there's some costs there. Business taxes, fees, licenses, all the sort of administrative costs. I've got that listed here at 300. And filing this tax return on the left side you might need someone to help you out, like a bookkeeper, or take a bookkeeping course if you're running a business. Or maybe after this class, you'll know what you're doing. Any office expenses, we don't have any listed. Supplies, we do have supplies listed. So in this case, supplies were 6,700 and the 600. So those three added together are 7,300. Legal and accounting, we don't have any fees there yet, but if you did hire a lawyer, an accountant, or a bookkeeper, you'd put that here. No management. Rent, we do have rent on the apartment that he rented. 6,500 is his share because basically his rent is the home office of the business. Maintenance and repairs on any of the equipment for the business. I don't have any listed here. Salaries, well, he didn't pay any salaries besides to his employee. So he didn't pay himself a wage directly out of this, but if he did, you'd list that here. Doesn't own any property, so no taxes. Travel, if you had business travel, you could keep track of that. Telephone, he did have a telephone, so the business is paying for his cell phone. The business isn't paying for the utilities because mainly his business is out of his home, and we'll get to that here on the bottom. Fuel costs, I said, except for motor vehicle. We will put that in below because he's driving his personal truck for the business to landscape. And then we've got gasoline up here. That's the gas he uses on his equipment for landscaping, snow removal. No delivery and freight, no other items. So total business income right now is net income $7,100. If you click capital cost allowance, we're not going to report any deductions here. Need to calculate that amount. So again, it's only if you we'll just leave that one blank, because if you have a vehicle your business owns, this would be depreciation on anything you own. So we'll report that next year because he has a piece of equipment that he owns for his business. Now, one of the things Revenue Canada does allow you to deduct for a business is business use of home expenses. So this would be if the workspace for your business is in your principal residence or you use it to earn incomes. Now, since we don't have an office for this business, it's just based out of his own home, you can deduct some of the space that he lives in. And that helps with tax deductions and paying some of the bills. So the way they do it is calculate either percent of the space that you use for your business or just portion of the room. So how much area of the office is it of the total area of the home? So we'll do that option. You can have one of the two. So I listed the area of the house is 1,200 of the apartment, and 100 square feet is the office space. That should say square feet here, but anyways, fix that on your assignment. So we can claim some of these deductions that you use where you live. So heating was $500, electricity is $1,000, insurance and this is per year. Remember, property insurance on your place is $1,800 a year. Maintenance, we don't have any maintenance. It was a rental suite, no mortgage interest or property taxes. And that's it. So it helps with a little bit to pay your home expenses with the business. Capital cost allowance would be that deduction, depreciation on anything owned. Now, the last deduction you can use for the business is motor vehicle expenses. So I've got I'll need to calculate them. So what that means is, did you use your personal vehicle to conduct business and to generate business income? And we'll say yes, because he drove his personal truck around to the work site. So he's got Dodge Ram. They want to know what portion of the mileage was used for business. So we'll say 50,000 kilometers this year. And of that 50, we'll just say 20,000 of it was for business income. You should probably keep a mileage log to make sure this is accurate. Revenue Canada may ask for verification on the mileage, so probably a good idea to keep track of that mileage if you're going to claim it. Now, this would be total fuel for the year. Again, keeping those receipts is important. Any insurance on the truck, we'll say 1,800, and maintenance and repairs on the truck. That's all I'm going to claim because licensing is in the insurance and we don't have other expenses. So if you look business use, that is an additional $2,320 deduction that's allowable for the business. We didn't finance it and we did not lease it. So there's no depreciation. Have another vehicle? We don't have. And that's pretty much it. We've entered all of the information for the tax return. I'm just going to make this bigger now because we've got all the information off of the assignment. If we look, we've got a refund coming of $1,989. Where that comes from is the original earnings that he had for his employment income. They took off $1,989 in deductions and various things, overpaid some of the amount. And so he will get that back because his total earnings for his net earnings isn't going to be exceeding, the amount that they had originally taken off, if you look here. So this is his refund coming. He'll get the carbon tax rebate. And you can go review and optimize just to make sure that's a nice final step. Talks about NetFile. You can use NetFile to submit prior returns if you haven't returned income from previous years. I would suggest you do that. It says you may be eligible to claim employment expense if you work from home. That would be with like a job. So you were a remote worker from home for an employer. We don't have that. Tax credits for subscriptions. We don't have that. We will not be filing previous returns. Say no on that one. And it says go ahead and submit your returns. So we're just going to go. You can actually review some of the information here. This would be what is going to be printed and set out. You'll notice his employment income is $12,000, and then it shows us the breakdown of business income. So he did earn $38,000, but only netted $38,755 after all of his expenses came off. So you actually only show income of $15,785. That is basically the threshold to where you start to pay income tax. So he won't owe any tax at all. And the nice part about being a business owner is you get some of those expenses that you normally would pay back. So in this case, he gets a refund of his taxes they took off his T4, his CPP overpaid that, and his EI he ended up actually overpaying, showing what we've deducted there from the T4. So he'll get a check for $2,000 back. I just want to show you how the statement of business earnings looks on a paper here. So we've got $38,000 as business income. It organizes all the amounts that we entered. Okay, direct wages, and then his other expenses. Now, the nice part is, yes, he didn't pay himself a wage, but the company paid his rent, his telephone, his portion of his fuel. He could actually deduct meals and entertainment. He might keep track of that next year. So really his living wasn't that expensive. And he did so the net income from the business, $38,755, was his money as well. It kind of went back into his bank account anyways. So he had that money plus his money that he, used the money that he generated, this $38,000, was able to pay his rent and telephone and utility bills along the way too. So his income wasn't directly reported out of here, but he did net himself $37,85 that he will take home as basically what that works out to be. So you can look through the other forms, but it would be a lot harder if we were to fill out the forms and send them in. It's very complicated. So it's nice to use the summary. So we're going to go ahead and submit. I'm not going to actually submit this online, but what I do want you to do is save a PDF. We'll save it, and that PDF will be what you submit for your assignment. And again, you could look at it, take a copy and open it up. You'll see that this is what it looks like, and there's all your forms. So if this were truly your first time reporting it, there's 31 pages. You print this off, send it in. They may ask you for copies of your receipts and invoices for the business. They may ask for verification of that. So make sure you have all of those saved and on hand. So hopefully this tutorial helps you file your tax returns for this assignment, and hopefully you enjoy it and learn lots. And maybe some of you will end up being entrepreneurs in the future. There's actually great benefits to being an entrepreneur, owning your own business and controlling your funds, and having some tax savings here as well, because you get to deduct business expenses that you would normally just pay if you were just working. So lots to think about and lots to learn. Thanks for paying attention and for watching this demo, and take care.